Mahomes hurt last night. If you're just joining us, Adam Schefter reported they're hoping it's a 3-week injury. That's best case scenario. There's an MRI today. So put his name on this list of big star quarterbacks. Nick Foles, Big Ben, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, all hurt early in the season. Mitchell Trubisky hasn't played since week 4. The Bears are hoping that we'll get him back this weekend. So it's been a tough year for quarterbacks, and that full screen there only includes the players who've been injured. It leaves out the most important one by far, of course, which was Sam Darnold with mono. So I've asked Jonathan Vilma to leave the desk for this conversation because it will offend him. But it will be about the distances that the NFL is willing to go to protect the quarterbacks. And I know the defensive players, and Bobby, you played defense, and I can joke about it. Lewis, you did as well.
Sure.
You know, they get frustrated with this, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, the sport needs these guys. They are the superstars of the league, and I think this is just another illustration of how important it is.
There's no doubt. Look, offensive football has changed, all right? It's not a run-centric league anymore. It is a passing-centric league, and that is what generates points. That's what generates interest in the game. That's how teams win or lose games. You see what happens when star quarterbacks are knocked out of the game. A lot of times, especially if you haven't planned accordingly as far as your backup is concerned, it can absolutely just stifle your entire football operation. Things just don't run as smoothly. Okay, that's just from inside the building. Now, when you're talking about from a fan perspective, fans don't want to watch boring offense. Fans don't want to watch a 50-50 run-pass ratio type of game. They want to see it put in the air. The league understands this. That's why they're protecting quarterbacks. I'm not saying that they need to go overboard because of what happened to Pat, because Pat was not a rules issue. That's just a football issue. But as far as why we try to protect quarterbacks, they're the most marketable assets on a football team. Simple as that.
Yeah, I told you, the Chiefs have 3 primetime games remaining, and that would be assuming there wouldn't even be any more games flexed.
Right.
And so they could potentially have the option for more. And now you look at the quarterback situation, and Pat Mahomes isn't there yet, but he will be soon. You're talking about one position that if the guy is great on your team, he's taking up almost 20% of your salary cap. So no owner wants to sit there and watch 20% of their cap on the sidelines in street clothes. The fans want to watch it. Everything ties in together. And no one's going to be tuning on Monday Night Football if you're watching guys who are backups playing. It's like you said, it's Mahomes and Russell Wilson, Rodgers, that bring everybody to the table.
And I don't even want to bring this up, but Mark Sanchez, you made the point that you had a similar injury. And I think you said to me in the meeting this morning that sort of never goes away. It's an injury that stayed with you in some ways. Well, explain that.
Once that happens, those ligaments get stretched, and the problem is you're just prone to do it again. And so hopefully for him, you know, he can strengthen that inner quad muscle and keep that patella in its right groove and in its track in his knee. But, you know, that's fingers crossed. But like you guys said, even the casual fan, they know number 15 for the Chiefs. If they don't like football, they just watch this guy because he's so explosive and so fun to watch.
You know, I think the natural evolution of the rules now is if you get a 4th down and it's less than a yard, the coaches are able to signal to the officials, we're going to run a sneak, and we don't run the sneak anymore. We'll just concede the yard. We'll be able to move forward. That way these injuries will never happen again.
It's like an intentional walk in baseball. We're just going to let it happen. Look, we just did a thing yesterday about the top 5 most watchable athletes in sports on this show, and we put Patrick Mahomes number 1 ahead of Tiger Woods.
Steph Curry of
He's
the NFL.
that. And so, look, it is what it is. And then very quickly on the impact that it could have on the Kansas City Chiefs, he's going to have the MRI today. If he is out for the season, and that's not what they're expecting, but if he is out for the season, do you just remove them from the Super Bowl conversation?
No, you don't remove them. I think what it puts the onus on is the rest of the football team. They have to play perfect complementary ball. Their margin for error goes from here to like here. Like it's none anymore. Now, does that lessen their chances? Of course, but it doesn't necessarily take them out of it.
Okay, let me run the hurry up here because this obviously is our top story today, but we have huge matchups to look forward to this weekend. And Lewis, I'm going to start with you. Raiders, Packers at Lambeau. What's the key?
Look, I told people to respect the Raiders at the beginning of the season, didn't I? Didn't I tell you to respect them? They're going to go up to Lambeau right now. I'll tell you this. Their ground game right now is top 10 in terms of your total yards per game, yards per carry, time of possession. They're in the top 10. This right here could be a nightmare for Green Bay because they can't stop the run. And if they can keep Aaron Rodgers off the football field, that's going to be a problem. The Raiders play the type of game that travels everywhere and at all times of the year. In the silver and black, I think they're back. We're going to see.
Sanchez, Ravens, Seahawks. What are you looking forward to?
Well, last time we saw Earl Thomas, like we saw there, he had a nice hand gesture for Coach Pete Carroll. It wasn't a thumbs up, let's just say that. Listen, I think he's going to have a phenomenal day. He might get Russell Wilson's first interception. I just don't know if it's enough in that place. He knows how to win there. I just don't think it's enough. Russell Wilson's playing too well.
Seahawks have been so good, and Wilson has been so good. Bobby, let's go to the Saints and the Bears in Chicago. What are you looking at?
And it's going to fall on Mitch Trubisky right there. He has not been good against pressure this season. Can the Bears' offensive line protect him? I don't necessarily think so. The Saints are first in the NFL at pressuring the quarterback. Mitch has not responded well to it. He's been out for a couple weeks. He's expected to play. This is going to be a big jump for him in a test against one of the best, if not the best team in the NFL.
And I'll bring Vilma back to talk defense. Jalen Ramsey practicing with the Rams yesterday. They play the Falcons Sunday. If he plays Sunday, John, what do you expect from him?
Well, I expect Aqib Talib to move over and let Jalen Ramsey do what Aqib Talib was doing before, which is cover the number one receiver, get a little help every now and then have Wade Phillips help the other corners and secondary on the other receivers. Now, that being said, he can't fix all their issues. Jalen Ramsey doesn't run block, and Jalen Ramsey doesn't fit up the run game. And those are the two things that the Rams need to fix, which is the run defense and run offense, if they want to get back into playoff contention.
Yes, I agree with you completely, and I want to bring Lewis into this conversation as well, because I feel like, I'm not exactly sure why, there hasn't been a lot of conversation about just how bad the Rams have been this year. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl a year ago, that at this point last year looked like the best team in football. Their offense doesn't look right. The quarterback got paid. He doesn't look right. The defense doesn't look good. What's going on with the Rams?
Well, I think first and foremost, offensively, the onus needs to be put on the offensive line first. I understand that Jared Goff has maybe not looked as good as he has looked in the past, but I'll tell you this, the offensive line is a problem. It's a problem in the run game because there's so much penetration from guard to guard, and it just blows up their outside zone run game. And from there, the play action pass game has really gone downhill because teams already have figured out how to slow Gurley down. And then when you put Jared into that strictly, I don't want to say strictly a drop back type of passing game. It's not necessarily, though, his strong suit when he doesn't have the benefit of the run game. Defensively, the secondary, quite honestly, has been a mess. Their pass defense looks terrible. Their corners have been very, very inconsistent. Marcus Peters, look, there's a reason why they were looking to upgrade. They were looking for a Jalen Ramsey type. And Aqib Talib has not been the same in years. And if Aaron is not pressuring the passer at a ridiculous rate, Clay Matthews is out right now. If they are not being able to really rush the passer, then they have a big, big problem on the defense side of the ball. Many, many more problems than what Jalen Ramsey can fix.
So let's put it this way, Vilma. You've got the Niners who are unbeaten. You have the Seahawks who are playing great, and the quarterback looks like the MVP. Are the Rams going to make the playoffs this year?
Not this year. They need to regroup because what set them apart last year and got them to the Super Bowl was being third in the league last year and rushing the ball, was being pretty good, the middle of the pack and stopping the run. Then all of a sudden took it to another level when the playoffs came around. They played the Cowboys, shut them down. Played the Saints, shut them down. Defensively, shut them down. And now that hasn't changed. The ascension is stopped. And if you don't have that from the Rams, that was the whole identity of the Rams offense, the Rams team. You run the ball well, you stop the run, you play good defense, and then you let Jared Goff do his thing in the play action.
And oh, by the way, Todd Gurley, who knows when to expect him to look like Todd Gurley again, if he ever does.
Yeah, and Todd Gurley's not going to look like Todd Gurley as long as this offensive line, I'm just keep telling you, it doesn't pick up the pace. If they don't pick up the pace, if they're not able to find some kind of push from a physical standpoint here soon, it doesn't matter who they put back there. Jared's going to suffer from there. The defense is already suffering, giving up too many big plays. Well, I think this is an issue that's going to really take an offseason or two to fix. Yeah. And then you have this issue. They're giving away draft picks like they're candy. So where do they have the assets in order to go out and acquire more people?
In case you're not aware, they gave up 2 number ones for Jalen Ramsey, and they still have to pay him. SportsCenter tonight, 6 Eastern after PTI with Elle and Kevin. They'll have the latest on Mahomes and the knee, an Astros-Yankees preview of Game 5 and your Friday Night Football.